Perhaps you have been told your blood sugar is high, your blood pressure too. It might be metabolic syndrome. The words sound technical, but the feeling is simple: fatigue, heaviness, a quiet fear about the future. Today, inspired by John Ratey's book Spark, we will explore one powerful, often forgotten medicine that is already within your reach: movement. Not extreme workouts, but gentle, steady sparks that can change your brain and your life. If you live with belly weight gain, rising blood pressure, borderline diabetes, or cholesterol issues, you may feel your body has betrayed you. But what if your brain is part of the solution, not just your muscles? Spark reveals that exercise is like a master switch for both body and mind, improving insulin sensitivity, calming inflammation, and lifting mood at the same time. Stay with this video to learn how small, realistic steps can create surprisingly deep changes. Metabolic syndrome is often described as a cluster of numbers: waist size, triglycerides, HDL, blood pressure, fasting glucose. But behind these numbers is a tired brain, overwhelmed by stress signals and blood sugar swings. John Ratey shows that when we move our bodies, we send new messages to the brain, messages of growth, balance, and safety. Understanding this brain and body loop is the key to turning fear into action. For any medical decisions, please consult your physician. At the start of Spark, we meet a school in Illinois that did something radical. Before math or reading, students began their day with movement, fast walking, light jogging, playful games. The result? Their academic scores soared, behavior improved, and anxiety dropped. This is not just a children's story. It reveals a principle that applies to you as well. When the body moves first, the brain thinks and heals better. Imagine using that same principle to fight metabolic syndrome. Ratey calls exercise, quote, "miracle grow for the brain." Like plant food that makes leaves greener, movement increases chemicals such as BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, that help neurons grow stronger and form new connections. For someone with metabolic syndrome, this is crucial. Better brain function supports better decisions, better mood, and better control over cravings. In the next scenes, we will uncover how even 10 minutes of movement can begin to feed your brain this miracle grow. Metabolic syndrome is not a single disease, but a warning light. It says your body is struggling to handle sugar and fat efficiently. Typically, there is extra weight around the waist, higher blood pressure, high triglycerides, low good HDL cholesterol, and elevated blood sugar. Together, these raise your risk of diabetes, heart disease, and stroke. Yet a warning light is also an invitation. It means there is still time to turn the wheel. Exercise can help alongside medical care. When blood sugar spikes and crashes, the brain feels it as fog, irritability, and urgent cravings. High insulin levels push sugar into fat cells, but the brain, which depends on a steady supply of glucose, starts to panic. Exercise acts like a gentle traffic officer, helping muscles absorb sugar more efficiently and making cells more sensitive to insulin. Over time, this can smooth the roller coaster of cravings. For blood sugar management and exercise safety, please work with your physician. Living with metabolic syndrome often means living with chronic stress about health, money, family, work. Stress hormones like cortisol act as an invisible fire, increasing belly fat, raising blood pressure, and disturbing sleep. In Spark, Ratey explains how exercise burns off this chemical fuel, lowering baseline stress and training the nervous system to recover faster after challenges. Movement becomes both a fire extinguisher and a fire drill for your body's stress response. When mood sinks, motivation to move fades. When we do not move, blood sugar control worsens, weight increases, and sleep deteriorates. This can deepen depression and anxiety, a painful metabolic trap. Ratey shows studies where exercise worked as powerfully as some antidepressants for mild to moderate depression by boosting neurotransmitters like serotonin and norepinephrine. If you struggle with mood symptoms, this is a sign to seek professional help and to add safe movement as a gentle ally. When you hear exercise, you may imagine sweaty gyms or long runs, but in neurobiology, change begins with far less. 5 minutes of gentle walking can start to raise heart rate, increase blood flow to the brain, and tickle the release of feel-good chemicals. Think of it as lighting a single match in a dark room, not enough to heat the house, but enough to show the door. For people with metabolic syndrome, starting low and increasing slowly is essential. Always confirm with your physician what is safe for you. In Spark, Ratey describes how regular movement stimulates neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself. Exercise increases BDNF, which helps brain cells survive and grow new branches, especially in areas tied to memory and emotional regulation. For someone facing metabolic syndrome, this means that every walk is not just burning calories. It is laying new wiring for better habits, improved impulse control, and resilience against stress and emotional eating. Think of your muscles as thirsty sponges for sugar. In metabolic syndrome, those sponges become stiff. Insulin knocks, but cells barely open the door. Exercise flexes the sponge, making it more absorbent again. Active muscles pull glucose from the blood with and without insulin, lowering sugar levels and easing the burden on the pancreas. This is why even a walk after meals can make a difference. For those with diabetes or on medication, any change in exercise routine should be reviewed with your physician. Visceral fat, the deep fat around your organs, acts like a hidden chemical factory. It releases inflammatory substances that not only affect blood vessels and insulin, but also reach the brain, contributing to fatigue, brain fog, and low mood. Exercise quietly shuts down parts of this factory by reducing visceral fat and increasing anti-inflammatory signals. Over time, many people notice clearer thinking and lighter emotions, even before dramatic weight loss appears on the scale. Imagine a person like you, middle-aged, tired, told they have metabolic syndrome. At first, they feel shame and denial. Then they read about how exercise rewires the brain. They begin with 5 minutes of walking after lunch, 3 times a week. Weeks pass. Their sleep improves slightly, cravings ease. Their doctor later notes small drops in blood pressure and fasting sugar. The numbers are nice, but the deeper shift is this. They feel capable again, no longer a victim of their diagnosis. You may now ask, so how much do I actually need to protect my brain and improve metabolic syndrome? Guidelines mention figures like 150 minutes per week, but the story in Spark is more nuanced. Intensity and timing matter. Small, well-placed sparks can be more powerful than occasional long efforts. In the next scenes, we will unpack the dose of exercise that science suggests for better mood, sharper thinking, and a healthier metabolism, yet still feels realistic for a busy, tired life. Research inspired by the ideas in Spark shows that even 10 minutes of moderate movement can improve attention, reaction time, and mood shortly afterward. For metabolism, total weekly time still matters, but the brain responds almost immediately. This is good news. You do not have to wait months to feel any benefit. Think in tiny units, 10 minutes after breakfast, 10 after lunch, 10 after dinner. That alone, most days, would meet many basic activity guidelines when approved by your physician. You do not need to exhaust yourself. A simple way to gauge intensity is the talk test. During most of your exercise, you should be able to speak in full sentences, but singing would be difficult. This level, often called moderate intensity, raises heart rate enough to stimulate brain chemicals and improve insulin sensitivity while staying safe for many people. For those with heart or lung disease, chest pain, or severe symptoms, please ask your physician which level of exertion is appropriate. From a brain perspective, it is repetition that counts. Each time you move, you send the same helpful signals. More BDNF, more blood flow, better insulin sensitivity, lower stress hormones. Like practicing a musical instrument, short, regular sessions reshape your neural circuits more than occasional heroic efforts. For metabolic syndrome, consistency gently nudges your numbers over months. You do not need to be perfect. You only need to return to movement again and again, like breathing. Deep inside the brain, the reward system releases dopamine when it expects something pleasurable. In metabolic syndrome, processed foods and scrolling screens often dominate this system. Exercise can reclaim part of that circuit. At first, moving may feel unpleasant. But as your brain begins to associate movement with relief, pride, or calm, dopamine starts to fire for the walk itself. This is how habits form, not through willpower alone, but by rewiring what your brain finds rewarding. Ratey describes exercise as a form of exposure therapy for anxiety. When you move, heart rate rises, breathing quickens, sweat appears, sensations that can mimic panic. By repeatedly experiencing these sensations in a safe context, your brain learns, this is okay, this is exercise, not danger. Over time, the same nervous system that once overreacted to stress becomes less reactive. For those with severe anxiety or panic attacks, please discuss exercise plans with your physician or therapist. People with metabolic syndrome often report mental fatigue and difficulty concentrating. Spark highlights how exercise improves attention and executive function, the brain's CEO abilities. After moving, the prefrontal cortex becomes more active and efficient, like a cleaner desk that makes it easier to focus. For daily life, this can mean better control over impulses, clearer thinking when choosing meals, and more energy for work and relationships instead of just surviving the day. Sleep and metabolism are tightly linked. Poor sleep worsens insulin resistance and appetite control. Metabolic syndrome itself often disrupts sleep. Exercise influences both body and brain clocks, helping you fall asleep faster and deepen restorative stages. Ratey notes that regular movement reduces insomnia and improves sleep quality for many people. If you have sleep apnea, heart issues, or severe insomnia, please consult your physician about safe exercise timing and any needed tests. Before sneakers touch the ground, many people with metabolic syndrome hit an invisible wall. Shame. Thoughts whisper, I am too big, too slow, too late. Social media images of athletic bodies make this worse. But Spark reminds us that the brain cares about movement, not appearance. Neurons do not check clothing size before releasing BDNF. The bravest step is not a marathon, it is walking past the mirror without an insult and moving anyway, gently, kindly. To protect your heart, joints, and blood sugar, your first plan should be simple and medically safe. A common pattern is 5 to 10 minutes of walking at a comfortable pace once or twice a day on most days of the week. Gradually, weeks later, you can increase duration or pace. If you have chest pain, shortness of breath at rest, dizziness, or known heart disease, it is very important to discuss your starting plan and any symptoms with your physician before increasing activity. Walking is a beautiful starting point, but it is not the only option. Ratey highlights that different activities, like cycling, swimming, dancing, or low-impact aerobics, can all spark brain chemicals, as long as your heart rate rises moderately. For metabolic syndrome, combining aerobic movement with light strength training can be especially helpful for glucose control. The best exercise is the one you can and will do regularly with your physician's approval for safety. In Spark, aerobic movement receives much attention, but strength training also plays a vital role. Muscles are like tiny power plants. The more functional muscle you have, the more glucose your body can store safely, and the more calories you burn even at rest. Simple bodyweight moves, such as chair squats, wall push-ups, or light dumbbell lifts, can gradually build this metabolic engine. Start with low resistance and careful form, and discuss joint or heart concerns with your physician. One of the powerful ideas related to Spark is interval training, alternating short bursts of faster effort with periods of easier movement. For some people, this pattern can improve fitness and insulin sensitivity more efficiently. For example, walking 1 minute at a faster pace, then 2 minutes easier, repeated several times. However, if you have heart disease, severe obesity, or are very deconditioned, intervals may not be appropriate yet. Always ask your physician before adding higher intensity. Cravings can feel like storms that sweep away good intentions. From a brain perspective, they are bursts of activity in reward and stress circuits. Even a brief walk or a set of gentle movements can interrupt this storm, redirecting blood flow and attention. People often report that a 10-minute walk either reduces the craving's intensity or buys enough time for a wiser choice. Movement does not forbid treats. It gives your wiser self a chance to speak. Exercise at any time is helpful, But morning movement offers special gifts. It exposes your eyes to natural light, setting your internal clock, and often leads to better mood and focus for the rest of the day. For metabolism, starting the day with movement signals your muscles to wake up and prepare to use sugar more efficiently. If mornings are busy, even 5 to 10 minutes of stretching and light walking at home can still prime your brain and body. From the viewpoint of Spark, the brain benefits from frequent, small bursts of activity. Think of movement like healthy snacks sprinkled through your schedule, walking while on a phone call, using stairs instead of elevators when possible, standing and stretching every 30 to 60 minutes of sitting. These tiny sparks keep blood flowing, prevent long sedentary stretches that worsen insulin resistance, and remind your nervous system that your body is meant to move gently, often. Hypertension is a key part of metabolic syndrome. Exercise lowers blood pressure by strengthening the heart and relaxing blood vessels. When movement happens in nature, under trees, near water, the effect can be even stronger thanks to reduced stress and sensory overload. This combination, sometimes called green exercise, soothes the brain while training the heart. If outdoor spaces are not safe or accessible, indoor plants and nature videos can still provide a gentle calming effect. Humans are wired for connection. When you move with others, family, friends, or support groups, the brain releases additional feel-good chemicals like oxytocin. This reduces loneliness and makes exercise more enjoyable and sustainable. For metabolic syndrome, inviting a partner or child for a walk can transform a lonely health task into shared time. Even online communities and walking challenges can create accountability and encouragement, lighting many sparks together. Many living with metabolic syndrome also carry joint pain, arthritis, or back issues that make movement scary. The goal is not to push through sharp pain, but to find pain-respectful ways to move. Options include water aerobics, stationary cycling, chair exercises, and physical therapy guided routines. As Ratey's work suggests, even small increases in pain-free movement can deliver brain benefits. Discuss any persistent or severe pain and the right type of exercise with your physician or physical therapist. Weight is only one and often misleading number. Inspired by Spark, we can measure success in many brain and body-based ways. Better mood, fewer crashes after meals, improved sleep, easier climbing of stairs, lower resting heart rate, or reduced waist circumference. Lab tests such as fasting glucose, A1C, and triglycerides may also improve over time. Record these changes with your healthcare team. Let your brain feel proud of every small victory, not only the number on the scale. Illness, family crises, workload, life often breaks our routines. Setbacks are not moral failures. They are simply part of being human. From a neuroplasticity view, every time you restart movement, you strengthen the I return pathway in your brain. Instead of asking, "Why did I stop?" ask, "What is the smallest step I can take today to start again?" For people with metabolic syndrome, this compassionate restart after each fall is often more important than never stumbling. Let us imagine a realistic day shaped by the principles of Spark. You wake and stretch for 5 minutes, then walk in place while the kettle boils. You take a 10-minute walk after lunch with a coworker using the talk test. In the evening, you do 5 minutes of chair strength moves while watching a show, then a slow stroll after dinner. None of this is dramatic, yet your brain receives multiple sparks of BDNF, dopamine, and lower stress hormones, while your metabolism quietly shifts. Metabolic syndrome often sits at the edge of type 2 diabetes. Research aligned with Ratey's work shows that regular exercise, combined with nutritional changes, can significantly reduce the risk of progressing to diabetes for many people. By improving insulin sensitivity and reducing visceral fat, movement can bend your health curve away from complications. This is not a guarantee, and medication may still be needed. All diabetes prevention or treatment plans should be shaped with your physician. The heart itself is a muscle that responds beautifully to training. Aerobic exercise strengthens the heart so it can pump more blood with each beat, often lowering resting heart rate and blood pressure. For metabolic syndrome, this means less strain on arteries already challenged by cholesterol and inflammation. Ratey's message is clear. When you walk or cycle, your brain and heart improve together. If you have any history of chest pain, heart attack, or rhythm problems, Ask your cardiologist about safe exercise zones. Exercise can improve lipid profiles by raising HDL, the good cholesterol, and lowering triglycerides. Think of HDL as tiny cleaners that help carry fat out of arteries. When you move regularly, you send more of these cleaners through your bloodstream. For metabolic syndrome, this can gradually reduce plaque buildup risk. Still, genetics, diet, and other factors also play big roles, so medication may remain necessary for some. Lipid management choices should always be guided by your physician. As we age, brain volume and cognitive speed naturally decline. Metabolic syndrome accelerates this process by damaging blood vessels and increasing inflammation. Spark shares evidence that regular exercise can slow brain aging, preserving areas linked to memory and planning. Movement promotes new blood vessels and stronger synapses, helping protect against cognitive decline. You cannot change yesterday's choices, but each step today is a small investment in tomorrow's clarity. Beyond lab numbers, movement restores something that metabolic syndrome often steals: self-respect. Each time you move when you could have stayed still, you send your brain a message: I am worth this effort. Over weeks, that repeated message reshapes your identity from someone who is sick and stuck to someone who is healing and active. This emotional shift creates its own spiral of healing, making it easier to choose foods and habits that align with your new story. Spark does not claim that exercise is the only answer. For metabolic syndrome, movement works best alongside other pillars: balanced nutrition, enough sleep, stress management, and avoiding tobacco. Think of these as 4 legs of a table. If one is very weak, the table wobbles. But often, starting with movement makes the others easier. Better mood to plan meals, better sleep to resist cravings, less stress to stick with new habits. Design these changes with guidance from your healthcare team. The brain likes feedback. Writing down or logging your movement gives your nervous system proof that change is happening. A simple notebook or phone app can record minutes walked, mood before and after, and any physical changes. Over time, patterns appear. Perhaps your stress is lower on days you move, or your cravings are milder. Sharing this log with your physician can also refine your plan. Let these records be gentle mirrors, not weapons of self-criticism. Many people with metabolic syndrome live with a harsh inner voice that says, if you cannot do it perfectly, do not bother. Neurobiology strongly disagrees. Every minute of movement triggers chemical changes. Even if your day did not go as planned, a 3-minute walk, some gentle stretches, or a few chair squats still matter. Think of health as a dimmer switch, not an on-off button. Each small action turns the light a little brighter in your brain and body. As you move more, Spark encourages not just quantity, but quality of awareness. Mindful movement means paying gentle attention to breathing, muscle sensations, and surroundings. This tuning in helps you distinguish healthy effort from harmful strain, and it calms the brain's default chatter. For metabolic syndrome, this can transform exercise from punishment into self-care. Let each step be a quiet conversation, body speaking through sensation, mind responding with kindness and adjustment. Motivation naturally rises and falls. Ratey's work suggests another anchor: identity. Instead of asking, do I feel like exercising? Ask, who am I becoming? You might tell yourself, I am a person who moves to protect my brain and body, even on days when feelings disagree. Each small action aligned with this identity strengthens its neural pathways. Over time, movement becomes less about willpower and more about simply living as the person you have decided to be. While movement is powerful medicine, it must be used wisely. Stop exercising and seek urgent medical help if you feel chest pain, severe shortness of breath, sudden dizziness, fainting, or pain in jaw or left arm, new swelling in legs, very rapid or irregular heartbeat, or unusual shortness of breath at rest also deserve prompt medical attention. Before starting or intensifying exercise with metabolic syndrome, especially if you have other conditions, please consult your physician for personalized advice. Let us gather what you have learned into a simple, personal plan. Choose one primary activity you can do most days. Decide a tiny starting dose, attach it to daily anchors like meals, and record your efforts. Add light strength moves twice a week, if safe. Surround yourself with support, family, friends, or online groups. Bring this plan to your physician to refine it based on your labs, heart status, and joint health. This partnership between you, your brain, and your care team is your true spark. At the beginning, metabolic syndrome may have filled you with fear of heart attacks, strokes, diabetes, losing independence. Spark invites a shift from fear to curiosity. Instead of asking, what will go wrong? You can ask, what will happen in my brain and body if I walk for 10 minutes today? Each day becomes a gentle experiment rather than a test you pass or fail. In this mindset, movement turns from a sentence into a source of discovery. Your brain is not fixed, and your metabolism is not your destiny. Every small, safe movement sends a message of renewal, just as Spark describes. If you live with metabolic syndrome, please talk with your physician about an exercise plan tailored to you. Then begin with one gentle step today, not someday. If this video has encouraged you, please subscribe to this channel, press like, and share it with someone who needs hope. Now close this screen, stand up safely, and light your own spark.